This is something that I want to cover because I literally go through it almost every time I teach somebody, especially somebody new. And I feel like, well, if it's happening every time that I teach someone, it's something that needs to be covered. So if you look at the picture that's below here and you see that still shot, and this is why I think the magazines and the videos and stuff like that, they're deceiving because you're looking at how fast someone is going and you're thinking to yourself, they have to be just pinning the bike everywhere. Well, literally, the problem I have with most people that I train is they try to go from what I say 0 to 100 too quick in a corner. They do everything good, they get into the corner, and then they just hammer the throttle. And the thing that you'll find is when you actually like listen to people ride, they're not giving it that much throttle when they go through the corner. It's very minimal throttle input, especially through long ruts and, tricky corners and corners that have formed, ruts or the rough or whatnot. The amount of throttle input that is being given when you're riding is very minimal. It's more about momentum. It's not about noise. And what I see is a lot of young kids that are novice riders, maybe intermediate or B riders, they come into a corner, they brake, they get into the corner, and they just go from 0 to 80% throttle, and they upset the bike, and then it's clutch and brake, and there's all this action that's going on with the levers going through the corner. When in reality, it's like, just think about keeping the wheels moving. And a corner is only going to give you so much, and you need to figure that out with your bike. How much is the corner going to give you? So this picture that's below is actually taken from the videos that I'm going to show you here. And I'm not going to say anything while these videos are going, but I want you to listen to my throttle input in the corner. In every single corner, this was a track that was at my dad's house. It was a turn track I cut in. I was very minimal throttle input through every single corner. There's one corner that I exit hard out of, and you want to carry momentum so you can exit hard. If you're sitting there upsetting the bike the whole entire time, you're never going to exit your corners hard. You need to build the power. So when you initiate your throttle input through the corner, start with 0, then to 10, then to 20, then to 30, then to 40, then 50%, 60%, and then build that throttle up as you're exiting through the corner. And sometimes you might start the corner at 25% throttle and you might finish the corner at 25, or actually you would go from 0 to 10 to 25, and then you're just going to have to stay at 25% throttle through the whole corner, because that is all the corner is going to allow you to give all the way through it. So watch these videos, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. All right, so now that you've watched the videos and listened to my bike, hopefully you actually listen to my bike and you kind of realize, okay, I'm going with a pretty decent flow through all these corners, minimal braking, minimal bike being upset, and I'm just keeping the bike moving. And that's the thing is, there's nothing cooler than when you go to a track and you watch a guy and you're like, man, that guy's going pretty fast, but he's smooth. That was like Sebastian Tortelli, who's like that now. Jet Lawrence is like that now. And then you could argue that you okay, listen to Eli Tomac. He pins that bike. But where does he pin that bike? He pins it on exit. He is not pinning the bike in the middle of the corner. He is rolling that thing on, but as soon as that bike is almost straight, that's when he pins it. So there's nobody that comes into a corner and just hammers the throttle, especially on a 450. Even Justin Barsha, he is coming into corners and he is rolling that throttle on. He's rolling the throttle on, and yeah, he pins it, and he revs it in the air. And there's a few guys that do that. But if you really sit there and you listen to how they go through corners, nobody that is at that top level is coming in and going from 0 to 100% throttle in the corner. It is physically impossible to control your bike. And that is the thing I run into almost every single time I train somebody. I would say it's the most common theme is I have to explain to people to calm down and just roll the throttle smoothly through the corner. They want to come in and they want to go from 0 to 70% throttle. And the bike, what happens is there's just too much power driven to that rear wheel, too much for the suspension, and your bike gets upset. So when you're thinking about rutted, especially like the corners that I just did, they are long, gradual ruts, right? Throttle control is huge. And I like making those short little turn tracks like that because it teaches one little mistake, one little stab of the brakes, and you're going to lose bike links on whoever you're behind. You can't make it up down a straightaway. So you have to be close to perfect in all these corners to keep that momentum and keep flowing around the track. So think about your throttle control through the corners and build your speed up as you're going through the corner, especially on these big 450s. Don't just come in, dump the throttle, because then all you're going to be doing is slamming on the brakes, popping the clutch, popping out of the rut, falling over, catching your leg. It's smoothness, being smooth through the corner. And then when you're, towards the exit of the corner, yeah, pin it. Hold that bike wide open and exit as fast as you can out of the corner. That's when you make the Eli Tomac, Justin Barsha, rev to the moon is coming out of the corner. But it's not when you're in the beginning or the middle of the corner. All right, so now that you've watched the videos and listened to my bike, hopefully you actually listen to my bike and you kind of realize, okay, I'm going with a pretty decent flow through all these corners.